the coolest part of everyone's experience is that they went from life. I mean, went from death to life. I mean, and everybody has that story. And so sometimes people will say, "Well, my story, my testimony is not as cool as yours." I'm like, "Wait a second. You went from death to life. That is the story." I was grew up in Laos, and right in the middle of all of the wars in the 70s to 75, and so at 75 we had to immigrate to Thailand. We escaped over the Mekong River, and we got into Thailand. We stayed there for 5 years in a refugee camp. It was quite a shock, getting there. There was a lot of illnesses and sickness, and people were dying all the time, and so that was very difficult. But when I look back at the half century that God has given me, I think that I've not deserved any of this stuff, and yet He's provided. I didn't deserve to come through the camps. Many people died crossing that river. Many people died in the camps. Our whole family made it through, and there was no reason. We weren't any better than anyone. And so I always look at that and say, God was faithful to me even when I didn't even know Him. I mean, God loved me when I didn't even know Him, because there was no reason for us to make it. God reached way out there and grabbed us and to save us. Because that's the only reason I could think of when I look back, and I was like, why did He save us? It's because He loves us. So we eventually were sponsored by a church and came to the States. In the middle of winter, of course, and we get here, and it was middle of December, and there was like a foot of snow. I thought, what in the world? So we started going to a church there because in Indiana, because there was a little church that sponsored us, and we grew up there. So at about 12 was when I decided it was time to come to Christ. My sister and I both accepted Christ. We've all done things in our lives that have made us imperfect, or we've done wrong things in our life. Even at a 12-year-old, we've done wrong things in our life, and so we could not meet God's standard of perfection. And God was perfect, and in order to be with God, we had to be made perfect. There was only one way, which is through Christ. That sounds a lot better, and I know what my future is, as opposed to this other culture or religion where I had no idea what's going on and nobody knows. It was during college, when I went to college, the second year, a couple guys from Campus Crusade came knocking on my door, say, "Hey, do you want to hang out with us?" It's like, "Yeah, this first year has been terrible. I'm missing something." And it turned out I was missing Christ, and I was missing my fellowship with other Christians. We really develop our love for Christ and learn how to live for Christ. But then, like I said, life wasn't always easy, because then I graduated from college, and then things turned for the worse, because then my mother was killed in a car accident, and my father was injured really bad. And it was humbling, because as a 25-year-old, here you were giving your father a bath, because he can't hardly do anything. That was probably the hardest time in my life, when you would think, having Christ in my life, everything would be great, right? But there's still challenges like that. One of the verses I was thinking of was like, as I read recently, was the Genesis 32:10. But I look at when Jacob was gonna meet his brother, and he's like, "God, I don't deserve any of all the loving kindness that you've shown me." And that is true. Because it's true, and none of us has deserved the love that God has shown us. I went to a camp, and I met my wife, met Judy there. We got married, and a few things happened. We had a few kids and stuff like that, and then we moved to Traverse City back in '05, and then we started coming to East Bay in 2007. There's been ups and downs with that. Our experience up here, there's a couple of job changes, but God has always provided. Everyone's story is unique. It doesn't matter, because the best thing is that it's the person that is the source, of our salvation is important. Our story is special, but boy, it'd be nothing without Christ. But that's the big thing. I just want to remind people that God is so gracious to us, and He's really blessed all of us. Trusting in Christ, I know that unlike my old religion, I know where I'm going. If I was to die today, I know that God has a place for me, and I'm going to be going to be with Jesus. That is something that I'm 100% confident in, and I just want to share that with everyone, that join and come to Christ, so that you can have that confidence of what your future holds.